Hey guys, today we're gonna make veggie burgers. A lot of you either are serious carnivores or you don't like vegetables or the idea of veggie burger sounds gross. We have a visitor from my kitty. Bean, go away. But I'm here to kind of prove that wrong. I'm not vegetarian. I would love to be if I could. My body doesn't like it. But I'm gonna make veggie burgers for you just so you know that they can be delicious. It's chickpea based, or also known as garbanzo beans. Some people don't know that they're the same thing. That's what makes up hummus. So I've got a can of rinsed and drained chickpeas. And what you want to do after you rinse them is they have this nasty little shell on them. It's really gross. You want to pop it out of them. So chickpea, push them, and it separates. You don't have to do that with all of them right now, just because that's going to happen when you blend them up. But you do want to, if possible, while they're still in the colander, pinch them out of their nasty little shell because it doesn't taste very good. They do kind of stink when you pull them out of the can, just so you know. Don't be afraid that they're bad or that you bought yucky beans. Just they're kind of stinky. So I've got most of these pinched out of their little shells. And then the other ingredients that we've got, I've already mixed just so you don't have to watch that part because it's pretty self-explanatory. You just get a baby zucchini and peel and grate him, put him in there. I use 1/4 cup of dry quick oats just because the recipe I use calls for a whole cup and that's too much. It makes them too dry. Obviously, if you need more to help bind them together, go for it, but I only use 1/4 cup. I put some red bell pepper in there, diced. The recipe calls for a few teaspoons of cilantro. Cilantro is my favorite herb on the planet, so I use a handful and then cut it up. It's one of my favorite things, so I feel like you can't have too much of it. There is also a call for onions. I use the bell pepper for that instead. You can obviously put whatever vegetables you want in there. My sister, for her recipe, uses a black bean based, and that's fine. You can use whatever, black beans or garbanzo beans or both even, it doesn't really matter, as long as you're getting that bean base so that it makes that little patty. But I've also got some other herbs in here. Put some garlic powder in there, cumin or cumin, I don't know, everybody pronounces it differently. It's like potato tomato, right? And then you put 2 tablespoons of olive oil in there just to help kind of bind it together a little bit better, and then some red wine vinegar. So you don't have to, but you can if you want. You can mush these up with a potato masher before you stick them in the blender. I would rather just stick it in the blender first instead of having to multiply the process of getting it done, because ain't nobody got time for that. So I'm gonna blend those up and mix it together, and then I'll show you how it goes. Once they're all blended up, it looks kind of like mush. I like to put it back in the colander just because then you can pick out any more of those little shells that are in there. Yucky. And that's why I do that, just so you can make sure that you get everything out. Like, obviously there's still gonna be some in there. Don't worry about it, you're not gonna die if you eat them. All right, and then you just stir it together. And I apologize if you heard any kitty meowing in the background. Jack likes to cry for attention, and he's my little fur baby, so if he doesn't get it, he likes to cry until I pet him. But that's okay. So this is what it'll look like. It's really exciting, it smells delicious. Cumin is one of my favorite spices to use also, just because it's kind of, I don't know, it's earthy and delicious. But we're gonna form the patties now. I like to use the same 1/4 cup that I use to measure the oatmeal, just because why dirty extra dishes when my husband's not here to clean up? But so what I do is you just, you know, it's kind of a rounded scoop. You don't have to level it or anything. I'm not in a garden. I'm not about that life. But you wanna scoop it in there and kind of pound it down so that it compacts in the scoop, obviously, or it's not gonna come out. You wanna make sure all the crap is off the edge. And then I just plop it back in my hand. I took my rings off. Obviously, if you don't have rings, don't worry about it, but mine are off. And then I kind of squish it a little bit and then make it a little bit bigger of a patty. You want them thick, but not ridiculous. Unless you want a thick patty, it doesn't really matter. You can have it at the thickness you like. I'm not one of those chefs that does the, oh, it's a 1/2 inch thick measurement. That's kind of weird. I don't measure stuff like that. That's weird. But whatever floats your boat. Here's what my patty looks like It's not super even, but doesn't really matter. It's a patty, it works. And then I just throw them all on a plate. You can grill them, but if you have a wide enough spread apart of the grill, the patty is gonna fall through, and that's not good because then you don't have a patty. So what I do is I just pan fry them. They take about 6 minutes on each side, or however crispy or done you want them, that'll happen. I do have a tip though, don't, well, I guess you can if you put more moisture in it later, but don't let your mix sit overnight in the fridge to marinate or whatever. Don't do that because then they'll dry out and crumble, and you want your patties to be able to stay together. So these are pretty wet, obviously, because I just made it. So you want them to be pretty wet. If they're too wet, obviously add more oats, just because I do half the recipe a little bit. So if it needs more, then add more, obviously, according to whatever moisture level you want. But again, if they're too moist, they're also not gonna cook same if they're not too dry. So just make sure you're monitoring that. And this is what they look like. And I like mine leftovers with rice. You can, I don't know, they're pretty versatile because it's a veggie burger, obviously. But let me know what you guys think, and I will probably be cooking more recipes for you, probably dessert because that's my favorite. But if you have any questions, feel free to comment. I'm going to leave the recipe in the description just because I didn't give you exact measurements of stuff for sake of time. But I hope you guys enjoy. So it was really dumb of me to say bye when I should have cooked them and showed you what I think that how I like them to look. But so here they are, nice and golden. There's Bean licking herself. But I like to put mine on a bun with some mayo and mustard. Anything like a burger, but it's just veggie and healthy for you. You can put cheese on it. Anything that's burger related, just go for it and treat it like a burger. But that's everything. And next time you should have a little tag that says, "Oh, Hannah Banana Vlog," or something exciting. So it's not just me, and it should be good. So be looking for that. It will probably happen tomorrow. But I hope you guys have a good day.